Let us start our webinar officially right now. Hopefully, the majority of people who scheduled this webinar into their agendas have joined us already. Those who did not join us yet, we will be happy to see you later. But we need to start. So during today's webinar, we want to show you a demo of our appraisal tool. Today with you, you will see us, which is me, the moderator of the webinar. I am a product and marketing manager of Kanban Plus, and Anna Radzikowska, that maybe many of you already know. Anna is our accredited Kanban trainer and also Chief Operating Officer at Marius Group Europe. Today's agenda of the webinar will be quite short, I think, but very effective. We would like to catch up you on Kanban Plus as a tool for those who are not still familiar with what it is. Anya will provide you with the appraisal demo, showing you how to use the tool using this real example. Also, we're going to tell you about some special offers that we have prepared for you, and we'll proceed with Q&A session, where you will be able to ask us about the questions regarding appraisal, or maybe any other questions that you have regarding the topic. So let me start with catching you up about Kanban Plus. I believe the majority of people who have joined our webinar already know about the tool. However, I'd like to explain to those who don't that Kanban Plus is a tool that is aimed to be the one source of truth for everything that comes to the Kanban method. It has all the possible materials ever created about the Kanban method as taught by David Anderson and Kanban University. On Kanban Plus, you will find three main products, content products, which are built around books. In Better with Kanban or BVK Plus, you will find right now the first book of the Future series. The first book is called Discovering Kanban, and more books will proceed, together with supporting content. Kanban Plus is built around Kanban Maturity Model book, together with supporting content, and also fit for purpose as a separate piece of content. The book, which is the latest one, and the updated one. The supporting content that our products have is posters, articles, case studies, videos, and any additional possible content that was ever developed. Also, we have new tool that we have launched recently, which is appraisal, that we will be showing today. And more tools are also in our pipeline. So well, stay tuned, and we hope that maybe we will have some news already this year. But for now, it's just a secret. However, we have a lot of tools and good ideas to add to Kanban Plus in future. The main advantages of Kanban Plus, as you probably already know, are the constant updates. Any kind of updates that have ever happened to Kanban materials are straight away updated on Kanban Plus platform. Also, any new developments also straight away appear on Kanban Plus. So you can always stay up to date using Kanban Plus platform. It has all the fullest library and a lot of materials that could actually occupy a lot of space if you will be carrying around books. But all the content you can access online from any part of the world, just go into the platform and find anything for your reference, to check out whatever you want, any guidance, any material to download, to watch the video straight away from the platform. So if you have any questions about Kanban Plus to me, please write in the Q&A, or maybe any comment. We would be happy to see it in chat. And I want to pass right now the stage to Anya for her appraisal demo.
Okay, so thank you very much, Tiana. I will do the demo based on the case that I had a chance to go through in my coach career. So some time ago, I worked for the company named Farah. Farah is a provider of transport solutions, transport systems in the Nordics. This people basically build applications and tools for both users of public transport in Nordics, like for example, applications for buying tickets or finding where is your bus currently, but also the systems to support bus drivers, tram drivers, to help them navigate through the city. Um, and working with this company, I had a chance to work with a couple of development teams. But this case is based on a few months of work with IT operations team in Farah. So this covers the time between October 2021 and April 2022. I will not go into the details like of this case study. So basically talking about metrics and all of this additional stuff like visualization, how it looked. You can read everything in Kanban Plus. You can use this QR code that we have there, or you can just go to Kanban Plus and read case study there. It's open. You can access it just creating account in Kanban Plus. But in this today, I would like to show you how I used KMM Appraisal to actually help this team and help them go through this transformation process, small transformation. Okay, so I think now's the time for me to share the screen. Okay, Diana, please let me know if you can see it right.
Yes, we can see your
Okay.
screen.
So we are in Kanban Plus already. I skipped the login part. And when you are in Kanban Plus, you need to choose KMM Appraisal product. And what you see here, I already created a couple of tests that I will use later to show you how this works. But let's start from the basics. So when you go to the appraisal and you start doing the assessment, you need to create something that we called the group. And the group can be, actually, you need to define what the group is. For example, you may want to do the assessment of one team over the time. You may want to do assessment of one service over the time. But you may also want to create the group, which will be for, say, a couple of services which are under one department. And of course, it doesn't need to be IT. We all know that Kanban is applicable everywhere. So wherever you deliver knowledge work, you can do Kanban and you can do the assessment. So a group will cluster a couple of appraisals, and then within the group, you will be able to look at some results, metrics, and comparisons, which I will show you in a second. So let's start with step one. Let's imagine that you just get started. Everything is blank here, empty. You need to create your first group. So you press this button, create group, and let's do MG test 3, and you press confirm. Okay, now you created your first group. You see that this is empty. At this screen, you cannot do too much yet. You can just modify the group, for example, change the name of it. And at this stage, you can, there are no results, of course, because nothing was yet implemented, but we'll see how these tabs here are gonna fill in with results of your appraisal. So when you created the group, we can now create new snapshot. Snapshot is basically appraisal, but this is the appraisal for a given moment in time. So this is why we call it snapshot. So this will be the snapshot of the situation that you are experiencing, that you are facing at a given time. So we press create new snapshot. You need to choose the date of creating the snapshot. Let's say I did it just now. And what you will see is the place where you can start doing appraisal. A couple of information how to navigate here and what you actually see here. So you see the date of the snapshot and the hour when it was created. Then you will see that on the left-hand side, vertically, we have our maturity levels, 0 through 6. And horizontally, we have cultural values and then 6 general practices: visualize, limit work in progress, manage flow, make policies explicit, implement feedback loops, and improve collaboratively, evolve, experiment. So this is basically the structure that some of you may be familiar, for example, when using the practice map. Before I go into the details of making assessment, there is one important thing which we introduced based on the feedback that we collected over a couple of years of doing beta testing of our manual appraisal tool that we had previously. So what we heard from our users is that sometimes the practice map and the whole set of practices and values, when you see it for the first time, is very overwhelming. Yeah, you see this huge map of everything, like 150 practices, 34 values, and people don't know where to start. They don't even know where to kick off. So that's why when you are using appraisal, you can filter what you work on, or for example, what you want to show to those people that you work with. And to do this, you can use these filters on the top. So for example, let's say that you want to focus on maturity level 1. So you need to unclick all other levels, and you will see only maturity level 1. And that's it. You will not be distracted by anything else that's happening on lower or higher maturity levels. So let's say that we want to now do the appraisal of this company. We want to focus on maturity level 1. So the first thing that you can also see at this stage, and you will also see it later in values and practices, is the small I icon. So when you press this icon, it will open the description from the Kanban maturity model book. So at any step of your work, you have immediate reference to the content that may be useful for you in creating the appraisal and making the assessment. So here, for example, you have the description of maturity level 1. So the overview of maturity level 1, culture, practices, some Kanban patterns, and so on and so forth, everything that is related to this level. Okay, so now let's go to the guts of the appraisal. You can see that as, again, similar to the practice map that you know and love, we have each maturity level divided into consolidation and transition practice. And you have also cultural values, which are per maturity level. So let's start with the values. At maturity level 1, we have 3 values: collaboration, taking initiative, and transparency. And everything here is gray because nothing was done yet. So let's start with collaboration. To do the assessment, you need to press on this value, and you need to choose what is the level of value presence. Yeah, can you see this value strongly held, weakly held, or not present at all? So let's say that our value is strongly held. Here you have space to introduce some additional description that will help you or those who are working with you to see why you decided to make this assessment. So for example, you might introduce some data, you might use some metrics. You might have some artifacts like Kanban board, like meetings, like policies. You might have some observation of what's happening, how people are interacting with each other, and you might also hear some anecdotes. So someone said, and now we are using this as sort of evidence. So of course, anecdotes are the weakest evidence. Data is the strongest evidence. But you have here the space to enter some information that will help you later. So let's say I will just enter anything here. You close it, and now you see that the color has changed, and you have this small icon showing you that there is a comment available. So let's do similar with other values here. I'm just choosing some random things. And you have made the assessment of all cultural values at maturity level 1. Now we are going to the practices. let's start with consolidation practices. So let's say we have the practice visualize the work carried out by the team by means of team Kanban board. And here you have a couple of options, a bit more than for values. So let me explain these options. The first option is fully implemented. It means that that the practice was fully implemented, that you can observe both practice in place, but also the outcomes of this practice. Partially implemented means that it's not yet there. You may see that either the practice is not fully implemented in the sense that there is something missing, or you, for example, have the practice in place, but there are no outcomes of this practice, so it's not yet functioning as it should. Not implemented, it's neither there or of course there are no outcomes. And two specific options that we have: obviated means that this that the practice at this level was replaced by the practice on the higher level. For example, let's say this one: conduct team replenishment meeting. So we may decide that this practice is obviated because we are conducting workflow replenishment meeting. So you cannot say that this practice is not implemented. It just means that it was already replaced by a higher level practice, in this case from maturity level 2. And the last option that we had here is alternative. So for example, you have practice which is not, especially the name is different, but if you read the description, basically you do everything that is there and the outcomes also are there. For example, when we have practice like, let's even talk about team retrospective. So you may have the practice that is called, I don't know, weekly review, or you may have practice that is called improvement meeting. But this is basically the same thing as you would do using this team retrospective practice from the Kanban method. Again, we cannot say that it's not implemented. We also don't recommend forcing people to change something that is working and actually outcomes are there, because why should we do it? Let's start with what we do now. So in that case, we just choose alternative. And again, we can add some comment, let's say, we conduct improvement. And now you know why this option was chosen. Okay, so let me choose a couple of, sorry, not this button. Let me choose a couple of options here. So we have some results. You see that at this stage, when you do it for the first time, it's quite manual work. But I promise this is manual only the first time. And I really recommend you going through each of these practices carefully, especially when you start, and really think whether this practice is implemented, is not implemented, because it will give you time for reflection. It gives you also more information about what you should look for or what you should ask people that you work with about. It may give you some useful hints. Maybe let's do some not implemented, so we are not that happy service. Okay, just bear with me for a few more seconds. Again, anytime that you are here, you can use this I button to read the description, to see some supporting visualization that may help you to understand whether you have this practice in place or not. When you decided that you finished, at least for the stage, you need to save the results. And now let's see how the results look at this moment after what we did. So what we did was we focused on maturity level 1. So this is what you can see. And you have the summary of cultural values at maturity level 1. You can see that there were 3 of them. So you have even split. Then we have general practices. When the practices are divided into consolidation and transition practices. And this is something that we did based on the testing that I told you about, where it was really good to see it separated for consolidation and transition. So you have the overview of all values at all levels, then you have the overview of all practices at all levels, and later you have the overview of each general practice. So you have overview of visualization, limit work in progress, manage flow, and so on and so forth. So you can either look at the general overview of all practices, or you can look at it practice by practice. So this is the step of creating appraisal and checking the first result. And now I would like to go back to the case that I was telling you about. So when I started working with the team, IT operations team in FARA, they were facing a lot of issues, and they were facing a lot of struggles and challenges. And basically what we did first, we did two things. So I personally did the KMM assessment for them. And together with this team, we just sat and we talked about source of dissatisfaction with their current process. And based on this information, also based on the discussion with them, I created this initial appraisal. And I already did appraisals, so you don't need to stay with me and look at me clicking all the buttons. So now let's look how it looks when you actually create the full appraisal. So when you have the group, I called this group Variety Ops. You can open it, and here you will see all of the appraisals that you created for the particular group. So the first appraisal that I did was 1st of October 2021. And here on this overview screen, you see the summary of kind of like helicopter view of all values and all practices. So just looking at this picture, you can see that they really were at the beginning of their progress. They were at the really initial stage of improvements. Not many values were held. Some of them are weakly held, some of them were not present at all. In terms of practices, almost nothing existed. It was a very much level zero group of people, group of individuals working together as a team, but more as like the structure in the organization rather than actually the group collaborating together. So when you do this first appraisal, now let's see how it looks in GATS again when it's complete. So first, I would like to show you the options that you have for the group that was for the group and the snapshot that was created and saved. So in options, you can go directly to results. So the screen that I have shown to you a moment ago, you can clone this appraisal, you can compare it, and you can also remove it. And I will show you each of these options one by one. So let's start with going to the view, and it takes you back to the appraisal. All of maturity levels are unhidden, so you can see the whole picture, and it basically shows you where you are at each maturity level. So as I mentioned, in terms of values, in terms of practices, maturity level 0, team and service. So now let's go to the results and let's see what you can see on the results level when it's fully done. So this is how the appraisal will look when you complete it. You will see the values per maturity levels, you will see the practices maturity levels, and then you will see the split per each general practice. There is also one extra thing that you can do here. You can use this maximize button, and it will show you on the big screen the results of either cultural values or practices. You can present it, you can make a screenshot of it for your presentation. So this is one thing when you look at the appraisal and the details of appraisal. Now let me go back to the group, and now let me show you what you can do with other options. So the next option is to clone. So I told you that you actually need to do all the clicking activity only once for the group, because the next time you don't need to fill everything from scratch. You can basically copy, you can clone the results of the first appraisal and you can work on it. So let's say that today is 1st of November 2021, and I want to do the appraisal again to see what has changed over the month. So for that, I press the clone button. I choose the date. I told November, right? 1st, 2020. Okay. And now you see that I basically copied everything that was included in the previous appraisal. And now I can see, I can start doing the changes. So let's start with maturity level 0 and for example, visualize basic work item related information on a ticket. So we started working on it. We started improving the ticket information. And we can say that, okay, now this practice, we consider this practice as fully implemented as per description and as per the outcomes that we expected to see. We also started on visualizing some initial policies. So it's not fully implemented yet, but we have some success. We start improving this practice. And together we also discover some initial policies. Okay, so these are the changes that happened. We save those changes. And now we go back to the group. You can see that this appraisal made on 1st of November 2021 now is saved here with some changes visible on maturity level 1 transition. And what we can do next is comparison. So let's say it's 15th of November and you would like to show what was done over the first month of working with this team. You have meeting with team leader, you have meeting with department manager, and you want to discuss with them the changes. And you don't really remember what you have changed because, like, except for this team, you also work with 10 other teams or 10 other services in this company. So what you can do, you don't need to remember, you can just compare two appraisals to see what has changed. So we are looking, maybe let's look at the later appraisal. I will be able to show you more changes. So this is the one of the later appraisals. We go to options and want to compare this appraisal, the last one, to the first appraisal. So let's press compare. And you need to choose to which appraisal you want to compare this particular one. So you can either compare it to the appraisal within the same group, or maybe you are working on two different services, and you have two different groups. You can also compare appraisals between one groups. But we want to compare it to the beginning of our work. So we choose compare to. And now it says that we are in the comparison mode. And on the top, you see what you are comparing. Yes, so we are comparing this 29th of April to 1st of October previous year. How you can quickly verify where the changes have been introduced? You need to look for these two arrows. So you see that you have these two arrows at maturity level 0, 1, 2, and 3. And nothing was changed on maturity level 4, 5, and 6. And you can also see these arrows here on the left-hand side at level 0, 1, 2, and 3. So let's look at, let's say, maturity level 1. And the yellow highlights shows you that something was changed here. So for example, let's see how the collaboration changed. So you can see that this is our this is the appraisal that we are comparing, and this is the appraisal to which we are comparing. So we see that previously collaboration was a value that was weakly held, and now we consider this value as strongly held. And we also introduce some observations, what has changed, what are improvements made by the team in this case. You can see that taking initiative has changed. So previously it was not present, now it's weakly held, and also with a couple of observations. And you can do the same for anything that has changed on the appraisal level. So for example, this practice here was previously not implemented, now it's fully implemented. If there were any comments, you would see them here. At this in this mode, comparison mode, you cannot update anything, you cannot change anything. I'm just, you don't hear it, but I'm trying to click here and it's impossible to click and make any changes. Okay. And there is one more thing I want to show you. Of course, there is also option to remove the appraisal and start over. And there is one more thing here that you can do. You can go to the group results. And the group results are a bit different from the appraisal results. Because previously I have shown you the results on the level of each appraisal, each snapshot. And here you have the overview of the results on the group level. So this is divided by maturity levels. So each time you are looking at different level. So let's stick to our level 1. And you can see the changes happening over time. So you have the first snapshot from 1st of October, then 1st of November, 20th of December, and 29th of April. And you can see how the values changed over time. You can see how maturity level 1 consolidation practices changed over time, then 1 to 2 transition, and so on and so forth. So now you have also the overview of changes over time for the particular group per maturity level. Of course, there is a limit. I think that we introduced the limit of 20 appraisals on this picture. So it's not too messy, but this is something that we can easily adjust. So if we see you using the appraisal and you will tell us that you need higher limit, and then just let us know and we'll work on it. So this is the technical part. And of course, here you can create as many groups as you want. Also from the technicalities, what I have shown to you right now is individual level. So when you are accessing appraisal individually, this is what you will see. But of course, Kanban Plus also offers the corporate access or just bigger team of people access. So if you are holding any of these corporate licenses, then you can, everyone having the license can access all of the appraisals. So basically you can work together on this appraisal. So let's say that I worked together with another consultant or maybe with the team leader of this FARA IT Ops team. And then we could basically see each other's work. We could comment on each other's work and collaborate on these appraisals and moving forward. And we'll also see what has changed and what changes have been introduced over time by other team members. And now from more general information, when you start doing appraisal and you start introducing the observations, the anecdotes, the data that you have, it will give you the kind of the guidance. It will give you a quite clear picture of the improvements that you should make and where you can move on from the current stage. Using again this example, we could see that we basically started from maturity level 0. Not much was introduced in terms of practices, but we could see that we had some basics, some fundaments in terms of the cultural values. Yeah? So even though these values were maybe not very strongly held, they were there and people already started living these values and using them in their daily work. So this was our basis for the further work. And this is where we started to anchor the practices introduction. So coming back here to this initial appraisal, and we basically started at maturity level 0 and one, like having in mind also maturity level 2, so where we can go from there. We knew that in this case, this practice visualization on the individual level wasn't really needed because the team as the organizational structure was already created as the unit in the organizational structure. So we knew that we can skip this very individual level and we can actually start moving forward with practices. We didn't want to spend too much time on making level 0 perfect. It didn't make any sense. So that's why we started looking immediately at level 1 practices. Also, as I mentioned, having in mind level 2 practices because it was the initial goal, yeah, to move the team and the service to maturity level 2 consolidation. And that's why we focused on 2 main areas. So visualization, and when you start visualizing, you also start basically immediately working with managed flow and with policies. So these 3 practices were our main focus in this particular moment of time. And also we started introducing some feedback loops. So the information is not lost, that information is basically shared and used for further improvements. And these changes over time were also tracked by me using the appraisal, and I shared the results of this appraisal with the team leader, who was the main person responsible for driving the change. And we basically used the appraisal. We used the appraisal as the guidance and as the roadmap for what we do next, and also to have kind of a checkpoint where what we've already been able to introduce and what we need to work on to make it better. And this is it from my sharing. So Diane, if you don't mind coming back to the presentation.
Yes, give me a second to share my screen.
I have like really few closing points here.
Okay, do you see
On
my
the
screen
next
okay?
slide. Yes, we can.
Good.
All right, so some general comments from KMM appraisal experience and practice. This is my practice, so you of course might have your own experience and your own tips and tricks. But I usually start with values because I want to see if I have the strong fundament for further work. And if there is anything that you don't know or you don't remember from the value or from the practice, then you can look up the value description at KMM Plus or just use this I button in appraisal and it will give you immediately the reference. Then I'm assessing practices. There is temptation to do some shortcuts, especially when you see that you are not very high maturity, like to do this other higher maturity levels, like level 4, 5, 6, just mark everything as not implemented or just skip this. But my recommendation is when you do it in your regular practice, when you do the appraisal of actual service, go through all practices, go through all values at least once, yeah. Because sometimes you may realize that you have some practices from higher maturity levels. And my favorite one is the practice from maturity level 4, which is Monte Carlo simulation. I have seen really like a lot of maturity level 1 services that are very attached emotionally to their Monte Carlo simulation from maturity level 4. So when you go through all of the practices, you may actually find some interesting stuff even at deeper levels. And it's also important that you don't, this is the tool, but this tool requires some knowledge. And also it requires some coaching knowledge. So basically how to lead the change, how to drive the change, how to deal with resistance, because this is, I would say, much more important than just clicking buttons in the appraisal. So we are teaching everything about it in the Kanban maturity model class, Kanban coaching class. So you can join these classes. There are really many trainers around the world that are teaching about this stuff. And you can also read the book, either the physical book or just KMM on Kanban maturity model on KMM Plus. So don't treat it as just purely, technical and manual process. And think also about the people you are working with, what you can expect from them when you are doing changes, because it will help you to do those changes better together with them, not just yourself as consultant and coach. Um, okay, so that's it from me. Thank you. Diana, back to you.
Anya, thank you very much. I think it's great that we could see appraisal today in action. Please let us know in the chat, how did you like it? What did you like the most, maybe? And maybe if you have some ideas that can be implemented, let us know what you think in the chat. Meanwhile, I would like to tell you a bit about our offers that we have prepared for you. Well, first of all, we're almost in February, and February is well known for Saint Valentine's Day. We couldn't avoid this holiday with our team, so we decided to prepare something special for our customers and to offer a special deal that starts from today and will last till the 14th of February. During this period, you are able to buy the appraisal yearly access and get KMM Plus professional access for free for the whole next year. To check more information, you can go to our website and see the subscription plans page where you're going to find additional information about this special offer. Also, as Anya already mentioned today, our appraisal tool is available for corporate subscribers. So keep it in mind, because while doing appraisal, it may be handy if you cooperate with other trainers or with your colleagues to have the access to the same account, and that's what our corporate offer provides you with. Also, we wanted to let you know that we have prepared a special offer here too. With 10 all Kanban Plus subscriptions, one appraisal seat will be included for free. So corporate users not only receive discounts on quantity of corporate users, but also can get an appraisal seat for 10 all Kanban Plus subscriptions. If you want more information about our corporate offer, you can check our corporate page on kanban.plus. So from this point, I think it's a good time to move to our Q&A.
Yeah.
And I have seen quite a lot of interesting questions.
Yeah, Diana, I can pick up. I just opened the Q&A box, so I can start answering. Some of them are pretty easy, so let's check those easy questions. The first one, is obviated automatically chosen if I flag a higher practice as present? No, nothing is automatic here, and it was deliberate choice to not over design. So you see this probably have seen that appraisal is still labeled as beta. We really hope for feedback from the users, and we already received a lot of feedback from people currently using appraisal. So thank you very much to everyone who is sending feedback to us. You don't need to only praise us, you can also tell us what's not working or what you would like to work differently, because now we are in the period that we are basically collecting this feedback. We want to give ourselves maybe 3-4 months to collect it, and then based on this feedback, we'll be improving appraisal. So I don't expect appraisal to be in like super final version anywhere in first half of the year, maybe later this year. But there is still a lot of work to do, but we want to do this work together with you. So those who are actually using appraisal and share this information. So no automation right now in the appraisal. Especially that in obviously it is a bit specific case, because sometimes you may, even if the practice is feels like replaced by higher level, it's not all, it not always is. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Let's use easy example of Kanban board. So you may have situation that there are a couple of teams that are using team Kanban boards, and at some point they just consolidate and they are only using workflow Kanban boards. But then team Kanban boards are basically disabled, and this is obviated practice. But you also have situation that there are teams, even though there is workflow Kanban board, the teams, for example, still serve other, they are part of other services. So they still need to keep their team Kanban board. And this is when we don't, basically both practices are in place. And this is also fine. Then are there cultural values and practices defined in assessment for ML5 and 6? Yes. So I know that there was a version of practice map which had levels 5 and 6 hidden as ESP material. This appraisal has all maturity levels, all practices, all values. Had the FARA group even started doing Kanban before the evaluation? Difficult to say. Because we didn't really talk about it. We basically said that we want to improve the service. Yeah, it was pretty clear what's not working, and this is where we started. So, of course, being Kanban coach, I was showing them Kanban practices, but it was really like secondary thing. Neither me nor them focused on whether it's Kanban or not Kanban. We just focus on improving the work. So I cannot say that they used Kanban. Like answer to this question was no. And we are the borders between red. Sorry, where are the borders between red, yellow, and green? For example, does red really mean nothing could be found and nothing was reported? When I do appraisals, this is how I treat red. That red means there is nothing there. No trace of value, no trace of practice, nothing. In terms of practices, this scale that we have and these options that we have for assessment of the practice work pretty well. In terms of values, this can be improved, but I would like to hear from people doing appraisal how we could improve these options for making assessment of values. That's why we also give this comment section, and for values specifically the evidence section for data artifacts, anecdotes, and observations. So when you are somewhere on the border, you can add some comments to support your decision. And like when we are doing these exercises in the KMM class, believe me, there are like two coaches will do sometimes two different appraisals using the same evidence. So this is the space for you and your human judgment. Maybe I've missed a little part. Are the cultural values linked to Kanban values? Yes, yes. So cultural values are Kanban values from the Kanban maturity model. Oh, Silke, a very long comment. So let me leave this long one for the end. This tool only works with practices and culture, no results. At the moment, yes. In terms of outcomes, we had outcomes in our beta version. Beta was Excel. Okay. So we had outcomes in Excel, but it wasn't really used, and it wasn't also very useful. So it was pretty difficult to do the outcomes part. Also because there may be a lot of outcomes. What we are thinking about is to introduce outcomes in the next release of the appraisal with potentially an option for some like open text fields where you will be able to provide your own outcomes in the future. So outcomes will appear later with the next release probably. Appraisal is beta version now. What can we expect to have for the final version? So outcomes, but we are mostly looking at some like functionalities. So I see who asked the question, and thank you very much for sending us feedback already, because we'll take it into consideration. So we'll improve the functionalities. However, they are not from the feedback that we see. There are no huge changes into UI, so we should be able to pretty easily introduce them. We will be working on options for sharing this appraisal, even with people that don't have access, like license access to appraisal. And we are also will be working on the reporting part. So better reporting, better visualization of results, comparing results, and also we would like to introduce some roadmap. So some roadmap planning in that sense that right now you need to do everything manually, and would like to link it to evolutionary change model and introduce this roadmap planning into the appraisal tool. KMM is a model I'm expecting to adapt to my own context. Yes. Will it change in the future? In the future to update it, add practices, for example. Difficult to say right now. We are working with the material that we have in the KMM, so it will always refer to the KMM. So whenever Kanban maturity model content and practice map will change, also the appraisal will be adjusted. So maybe like the other way around, it won't be like adding practices to appraisal. If you have any comments, any feedback, improvements to the Kanban maturity model per se, then please let us know and we'll discuss it with the author. Isn't there a risk that lots of results turn to yellow? This is, this is the tool for adults. This is how we treat it. So you may have the situation that you have a lot of practices partially implemented, and this may be your case. So when you see that everything is yellow, this is also information. This is also feedback that appraisal is giving to you. So appraisal is talking to you, giving you the feedback. And now you need to use this information. You need to talk back. So when you see everything is yellow, partially implemented, it means that something better can be done with that. And this is good information. This is good starting point for improving this particular practice, for example. So why is it partially implemented? What can we do to make it fully implemented? Do we really need this practice? Because it also may be the case. I didn't talk about NA, not applicable. This is also option for the practice, because there are some practices that you don't need. This is not the checklist. You don't need to check everything to move to the next step. There are some practices which are not applicable, and that's totally fine. Is there a method to export to a PDF the final result? Not yet. This is the part that I mentioned that we'll be thinking about for the next release. So how to make the reporting more user-friendly. Will Anna have an update to appraisal tool to be able to save images as evidence of cultural values? I mean, you can always make screenshots. Will not prevent you from making screenshots. We are not Netflix. So feel free to do so. If you need pictures, just do pictures. These appraisals are not disappearing unless you decide to remove them. So nothing will disappear. We'll not delete anything. Yeah.
Or if you unsubscribe.
Yeah. But this is a special situation. So if you don't decide to remove appraisal, it will be there. Yeah. So you can always go back to it, and you can make screenshots, you can make pictures, you can see what has changed. If you, by purpose or by accident, made a change, or maybe someone else that you work with made a change to appraisal, you will see these changes. Yeah. You will have the comparison of what has changed. So we don't see this as a risk today that you will need to save a lot of images, because you can basically open appraisal and it's there. And coming back to very long question from Silke. Yeah, so if I understand correctly, this is a question whether people may use appraisal inappropriately or something that I mentioned. So we are using appraisal as a tool very mechanically without thinking about the organization, the culture, potential points for resistance. We don't plan to limit access to appraisal. As I mentioned, we treat people as adults. We believe that they know what they are doing, and we provide knowledge, we provide training, we provide videos in Kanban Plus if you don't take the training. So there is a knowledge there is a content, and we just trust the users that they will not misuse the tool. So this is our position as of today. So we will not be limiting access to appraisal. Okay, so I think that I went through all of the questions. Yes.
Yes, I think Anya, we covered everything
Yeah.
already.
And we really wanted to share this picture with you because we are cat ladies, crazy cat ladies.
Yes, so thank you very much for joining today's webinar. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we hope that you liked exploring appraisal tool from inside and got something new from today's meeting. We also encourage you to explore our special offers that we have prepared for you. You can use these QR codes on the screen right now to check them out straight away, or you can always find all the information on our website, kanban.plus. Also, we are always here for you for any feedback that you have, and we are actually really looking for your feedback. So if you have something to say, you can always message us to customers at kanban.plus. This appraisal tool, as Anya said, is a beta version because we would like to make it the best version possible according to your feedback, to your comments. So please feel free to share with us what you think. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you very much for spending evening with us, day with us, or early morning
Yes.
with us. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
for joining. And the
Yeah.
webinar recording will be available from our YouTube channel just this day. So stay tuned. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.